Good morning, this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, EOS, Ethereum and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the support and resistance levels. It is Wednesday, the 5th of August. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar and the hourly candlesticks, bearish start to the day. Going to need to see Bitcoin move back through the pivot at 11,194. Support a run at this first major resistance level sits at 11,386. Support from the broader market is going to be needed, however, for Bitcoin to break back through to 11,300 levels. So barring an extended rally on the day, that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 11,396 should cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, you got resistance at 11,500 and the second major resistance level at 11,587 that should cap any breakout on the day. Failure to move through the pivot, bring the first major support level sitting at 10,993 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, should see Bitcoin avoid sub 10,800 levels. Second major support level sits at 10,801. Looking at the MACDs, got a bearish crossover there, supportive of this pullback through the morning, and we're seeing the 50 EMA narrow against the 100 and the 200. So look out for that 50 crossover on the 100. That would point out a sell-off that would bring that first major support level into play. Moving across to EOS against the US dollar, tracking the broader markets, bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see EOS move through the pivot 3.0271, support a run at this first major resistance level sitting at 3.1055. Support from the broader market is going to be needed to break back through to 3.10 levels. So barring an extended rally on the day, yesterday's high that's sitting at 3.0987 and that first major resistance level should cap any upside. In the event of breakout, got the second major resistance level sitting at 3.1770 to limit any upside on the day. Failure to break through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 2.9556 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, should see EOS avoid the second major support level sitting at 2.8772. Looking at the MACDs, we've got that bearish crossover, suggestive and supportive of this morning's pullback, and we've got that 50 EMA that crossed through the 100, and we've got a narrowing against the 200, suggesting a pullback through to sub 3 levels and that first major support level. So failure to move back through the pivot would bring that first major support level and sub 3s into play for the day. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, tracking the broader market, we've got a slight pullback through the morning. Going to need to see Ethereum move through the pivot at 391.38, support a run at its first major resistance level at 402. Support from the broader market is going to be needed for Ethereum to break back through to 400s, however. So barring an extended rally on the day, that first major resistance level should cap any upside. Failure to break through that pivot is going to bring the first major support level sitting at 379 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, should see Ethereum avoid sub 360s. We've got the second major support level sitting at 368.41 and the 38.2% fib at 367 to limit any downside. Looking at the MACDs, we've got a slight widening of that bearish histogram following the crossover, supportive of this early pullback, and we've got a slight narrowing of the 50 EMA against 100 and 200. So key through the morning would be a move back through the pivot to support another positive day ahead. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, an even more bearish start to the day for Ripple's XRP. Going to need to move through the pivot at 30.35 to support a run at the first major resistance level at 31.67 and the 23.6% fib at 31.34. So barring an extended rally on the day, that 23.6% fib and first major resistance level should cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, Should see Ripple's XRP break through to 0.32 levels before any pullback. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the first major support level setting at 0.2880 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, should see Ripple's XRP avoid sub 0.28. Second major support level sits at 27.48. Looking at the MACDs, we had that bearish crossover and a widening of the bearish histogram supporting this morning's pullback. We're also seeing a slight narrowing of the 50 EMA against the 100 and the 200. So key through the morning would be a move back through to 0.3 levels and that pivot level at 30.35 to support a recovery from yesterday's sell-off. Fall through that first major support level and we could see Ripple's XRP start giving up these recent gains.